Christmas Eve. And while a lot of folks are probably winding down right now, the markets are, well, they're still buzzing.
Yeah.
Especially tech.
Definitely.
So let's take a deep dive into what's really going on beneath the surface, huh?
Sounds good.
We're using insights from PantheonAI's morning briefing for this.
Great source.
PantheonAI, it's like, think of it as your information co-pilot.
I like that.
It can help make sense of all this, business and finance and all that.
The complex world of all that, yeah.
And today's briefing is especially interesting.
Yeah, on the surface, things look pretty good, right? The S&P 500 and the Dow are both up.
Okay.
And the Nasdaq is having, like, a real Santa Claus rally, up over 0.5%.
Wow, so all good then, right?
Well, not so fast.
What do you mean?
PantheonAI, it's also highlighting some underlying tensions.
Oh.
It's not all, candy canes and sugar plums out there.
I see. So, like, what kind of tensions are we talking about?
Well, for example, the Russell 2000, it's actually down slightly.
And then you've got Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah.
They're both, taking a bit of a holiday dip.
Oh, okay. Anything else? Or is that it?
Well, one of the most, I'd say, thought-provoking points in the briefing,
Okay.
it's this warning about a potential tech bubble.
Oh, wow.
It's flagged by Steven Jon Kaplan, pretty prominent investor.
Okay, hold on. You say prominent investor.
Yeah.
What makes this Kaplan guy someone, worth listening to?
Yeah.
And what's he so worried about?
Well, Kaplan, he has this reputation for being a bit of a contrarian,
Uh-huh.
and his predictions have often been spot on.
Interesting.
But what's, I think, really interesting here, he's not just saying, hey, tech is overvalued.
Right.
He's actually pointing to specific factors
Okay.
that suggest that this rally, it might be unsustainable.
Okay, I'm listening. Like what kind of factors?
Well, for one thing,
Yeah.
he's concerned about the sheer velocity of this recent rally.
Things have been moving up so fast in tech. And historically, that kind of rapid growth, it's rarely sustainable.
Makes sense.
And then he's also worried about those sky-high valuations we're seeing,
Right.
Some tech companies, they're trading at multiples that seem totally disconnected from their actual earnings and their growth potential.
Okay, so am I hearing this right? Even though the Nasdaq is up, there are some red flags that investors, especially those heavily invested in tech,
Right.
they should be paying attention to this.
Exactly. Now, this does not mean you should, panic and sell everything,
Right.
But it's a good time to take a step back, review your portfolio, and maybe consider diversifying a bit.
That makes sense. And this is where a tool like PantheonAI can be so valuable, right?
Absolutely.
Helping you cut through the hype and make, more informed decisions.
Exactly. PantheonAI, it helps you see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Not just the headlines, but also those underlying trends and potential risks.
Okay, makes sense. So we've got this potential tech bubble kind of simmering in the background here.
Right.
What else is PantheonAI highlighting?
Well, there's this fascinating legal battle brewing that could have some major implications for the whole tech industry.
Okay.
The ARM versus Qualcomm trial.
Okay.
It's about more than just the verdict itself. It's really highlighting some, I think, pretty fundamental tensions in the tech world.
Fill me in, because I'm not super familiar with this case. Why should we care?
So ARM, they design these chips that are used in, tons of devices. Smartphones, tablets, even cars.
Right.
And Qualcomm, they're one of ARM's biggest licensees.
Okay.
Now, this lawsuit, it centers around ARM's business strategies, particularly their recent focus on, maximizing profit.
Okay, so why is that a problem? Is that what businesses are supposed to do?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
But the concern is that ARM's new approach, it could stifle innovation. Their partners are worried that ARM's focus on these short-term profits could come at the expense of long-term collaboration and technological advancement.
Ah, I see. So this case is really about more than just these two companies.
Right.
It's about the future of, tech collaboration.
Exactly.
And whether this drive for profits could kind of undermine the whole ecosystem that drives innovation.
Exactly. And that's a question with implications for everyone, not just those in the tech industry.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got potential tech bubbles and legal battles that could, reshape the whole tech landscape. What else is on PantheonAI's radar?
Well, let's shift gears from tech to finance for a second.
Okay.
We have another interesting legal battle brewing here.
Oh.
Big banks are getting ready to sue the Federal Reserve over stress tests.
Stress tests. Okay, that sounds stressful. Explain.
Well, these tests, they're designed to assess banks' ability to withstand, like, economic shocks,
I see.
The banks are arguing that the Fed's tests,
Yeah.
they've become too burdensome, and they don't accurately reflect their actual risks.
So it's kind of like the banks are saying, hey, these tests are too tough, and they don't even paint a true picture of how strong we really are.
Exactly.
Okay, so what are the potential consequences here? I mean, could this lawsuit actually change how banks are regulated?
It absolutely could. This case, it really gets to the heart of this ongoing debate about the role of regulation in the financial system.
Yeah.
Like, how do we balance promoting stability and protecting consumers
Right.
while also, fostering innovation and allowing businesses to thrive?
Right.
There are no easy answers here.
That's a really important point because it's not just about banks and regulations, is it?
Bingo.
It's about the impact on the entire financial system, which ultimately affects all of us.
Everyone.
Our deposits, our access to loans. I mean, these are all things that could be shaped by the outcome of this lawsuit.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder that even on a seemingly quiet day like Christmas Eve, there are forces at play that could have a profound impact on our lives.
It's true. So we've got potential financial storms brewing. What else?
Well, let's move from potential financial storms to a sector that seems to be riding a wave of optimism: clean energy.
All right, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
PantheonAI is highlighting a really significant move by FREYR Battery.
Okay.
They're making big waves by acquiring Trina Solar's U.S. manufacturing assets.
Wow, that's huge.
It is. It's a major power play in the renewable energy sector.
Okay, but help me understand why this is such a big deal. I mean, what does this acquisition tell us about the state of the clean energy industry?
Well, for one, it signals that the transition to a more sustainable future, it's gaining momentum.
Okay.
With the global push toward cleaner energy solutions, companies like FREYR, they're positioning themselves to be key players in this evolving landscape.
So it's not just about, good intentions. There's real money flowing into clean energy.
Definitely.
And companies are making these, strategic moves to capitalize on this growing demand.
Exactly. And it also highlights the increasing interconnectedness of different sectors.
Yeah.
We often think of energy and tech as separate domains, but as we're seeing with companies like FREYR, the lines are blurring.
That's true.
They're leveraging technological advancements to drive innovation in the energy sector.
I'm seeing a theme here.
What's that?
Whether it's tech, finance, or clean energy, it seems like every industry is being reshaped by technology in some way.
You got it. And even cryptocurrency, which has had its ups and downs.
Yeah.
It's showing signs of becoming, more mainstream.
Interesting.
PantheonAI is pointing to Gate Group's acquisition of Coinmaster Co., Ltd., and their entry into the Japanese market as a significant development.
Okay, break that down for me. What's so significant about this move into the Japanese market?
Well, Japan has historically been very cautious about cryptocurrency. So Gate Group's entry into this market, especially through an acquisition, it's a strong signal that crypto is gaining wider acceptance.
So even with all the volatility we've seen, crypto is steadily making inroads into, established financial markets.
That's right. It's a reminder that the financial landscape is constantly evolving, and it's important to stay informed about these shifts.
True. But that's a lot to take in, even on a, relatively quiet Christmas Eve.
It is a lot to digest.
We've covered potential tech bubbles, legal battles, clean energy power plays, and the growing acceptance of crypto.
A lot going on.
That's a lot to digest, even for someone who follows these topics closely.
Definitely.
It is. But that's what makes these deep dives so valuable, right? They help us, I think, cut through the noise and understand the forces shaping our world.
I agree. And ultimately, that knowledge is power.
Absolutely. Power to make informed decisions about our investments, our businesses, our future.
Our future, exactly.
But we've only just scratched the surface, so let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and dive deeper into some of these key takeaways.
Sounds good. So before the break, we were talking about all these different things that are impacting the markets, from potential tech bubbles to the growing adoption of crypto. It's clear that even on a day like Christmas Eve, the world of finance and tech never sleeps.
You got that right.
Yeah.
And that's why having a tool like PantheonAI is so valuable. It's like your AI co-pilot for navigating all these complex landscapes. I mean, we've only skimmed the surface of today's market movements, and already there's so much to think about.
Absolutely. And one of the things I find most valuable about PantheonAI is its ability to connect the dots, to show how seemingly disparate events are actually all interconnected and can have these ripple effects across different sectors.
Right, like that dip we mentioned earlier in the Russell 2000.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious, for those who might not be super familiar with this index, what exactly does it represent? And why should we care if it's down?
Good question. So the Russell 2000, it's an index that tracks the performance of 2,000 small cap companies in the U.S. It's often seen as a barometer for the health of the broader economy because small businesses are typically more sensitive to economic fluctuations.
So a dip in the Russell 2000, it could be a sign that investors are feeling, less confident about the overall economy.
That's one interpretation, but what's interesting is that PantheonAI's analysis, it suggests that this dip could also present some interesting opportunities for investors who are willing to look beyond those, big name stocks.
Okay.
Sometimes these market fluctuations, they create openings for savvy investors to find those hidden gems.
So rather than panicking, this could be a chance to do some digging and potentially find undervalued companies that are poised for growth.
Exactly.
That's a great example of how PantheonAI can help you see the market from different angles and identify those potential opportunities that others might miss.
Exactly. It encourages you to think beyond the headlines and look for those less obvious but potentially more rewarding investments. And this applies to all sectors, not just small cap stocks. For example, we talked earlier about the rise of clean energy. But it's not enough to just know that the sector is growing. You need to understand which companies within that sector are best positioned for long-term success.
Okay, so let's say I'm interested in investing in clean energy, but I'm not sure where to start. How can PantheonAI help me narrow down my choices?
Well, PantheonAI provides in-depth analysis, not just on those broad market movements, but also on specific companies. It can help you assess a company's financials, its management team, its competitive landscape, and its overall growth potential. It's like having a whole team of analysts at your fingertips, helping you evaluate all those investment opportunities.
That's incredible. It takes the guesswork out of investing and gives you the data and insights you need to make, more informed decisions.
Precisely. It empowers you to be a more active and engaged investor rather than just passively following the crowd. And that level of engagement is becoming more and more important in today's rapidly changing market environment.
Speaking of rapid change, let's circle back to that potential tech bubble we talked about earlier. I think a lot of listeners might be feeling a bit uneasy right now, especially if they have a big chunk of their portfolio invested in tech stocks.
I understand the concern, and it's important to remember that while the market can be, irrational in the short term, it tends to correct itself over the long term.
Right.
What goes up must eventually come down. But that doesn't mean you should panic and sell everything.
So what's a more level-headed approach for someone who's feeling nervous about their tech holdings?
Well, I think the first step is to assess your risk tolerance. How comfortable are you with volatility? If you're someone who can't sleep at night when your portfolio is taking a hit, then it might be wise to, reduce your exposure to tech stocks.
Okay, so maybe shift some of those investments to other sectors that are less volatile.
Exactly. Diversification is key. It's about spreading your risk across different asset classes and sectors so that if one area of the market takes a downturn, the others can help cushion the blow.
And this is another area where PantheonAI can be incredibly helpful, right? Helping you create a portfolio that's aligned with your risk tolerance and investment goals.
Absolutely. It can provide personalized recommendations based on your specific financial situation and your objectives.
So whether you're a seasoned investor or just starting out, PantheonAI can be a really valuable tool for navigating all the complexities of the market and building a portfolio that's designed to, weather the storms and capitalize on the opportunities. It's like having a personal financial advisor and a market analyst all rolled into one.
Exactly. It's about empowering you to take control of your financial future and make those informed decisions that are aligned with your goals.
I think a lot of people are feeling kind of overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information out there. It's hard to know, what to believe, who to trust, and where to turn for reliable guidance. And that's where a tool like PantheonAI can be a real game changer.
I agree. It cuts through the noise and provides you with the data and insights you need to make sense of it all. It's like having a trusted guide in a world that can often feel, chaotic and unpredictable.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Potential tech bubbles, the importance of diversification, the rise of clean energy, the growing acceptance of crypto, and of course the invaluable role of PantheonAI as your AI co-pilot in this ever-evolving financial landscape.
Yeah.
But there's one more big topic I want to revisit before we wrap up. the legal battle between the banks and the Federal Reserve.
That's a crucial one. We were discussing the bank's lawsuit against the Fed over stress tests, and I think it's worth diving a bit deeper into the potential ramifications of this case.
Absolutely. I mean, we talked about the bank's argument that the tests are too burdensome and don't accurately reflect their risks. But what's the Fed's perspective on this? Why do they believe these stress tests are so important?
Well, from the Fed's perspective, these stress tests are essential for ensuring the stability of the financial system. They want to make sure that banks can withstand, severe economic shocks without collapsing and triggering another financial crisis.
So it's all about preventing a repeat of what happened back in 2008 when the collapse of Lehman Brothers sent those shockwaves through the global economy.
Exactly. The Fed sees these stress tests as a vital tool for, safeguarding against systemic risk and protecting consumers and businesses from the devastating consequences of a financial meltdown.
Okay, so we have the banks arguing for less regulation while the Fed is advocating for maintaining these stringent tests. What are the potential outcomes here, and what could they mean for the average person?
Well, one possibility is that the courts could side with the banks, leading to a relaxation of those stress tests. This could potentially boost bank profits in the short term, as they would face fewer regulatory burdens. However, it could also increase the risk of another financial crisis down the road.
So it's like a trade-off between short-term gains and long-term stability, and that's a tough balance to strike.
Absolutely. On the other hand, if the courts uphold the Fed's authority to conduct these stress tests, it would likely maintain the status quo. Banks would continue to face strict scrutiny, which could limit their profitability, but also provide a greater sense of security for the financial system as a whole.
It's interesting how this case really highlights the tension between the need for regulation and the desire for economic growth. It's a debate that's been going on for centuries, and there's no easy answer.
Right, and it's a reminder that the world of finance is complex and interconnected. Decisions made in one area can have these ripple effects throughout the entire system.
Which is why it's so important to stay informed, to understand the forces at play, and to have the right tools and resources to help you navigate these complexities. And that's what we're all about here at Pantheon AI. We want to empower you with the knowledge and insights you need to make informed decisions about your financial future.
Exactly, because knowledge is power.
Right.
And in the world of finance, that power can be the difference between success and failure.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the markets on Christmas Eve, I hope you're feeling more informed and empowered, even if it's with a healthy dose of caution, given all the uncertainties we've discussed.
We always aim to provide insights that are both informative and thought-provoking, because the world of finance and technology is constantly evolving, and staying curious is the best way to stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely. So as you gather with loved ones this holiday season, maybe sprinkle in some of these market insights into your conversations. You never know, you might just spark a fascinating debate over eggnog and gingerbread cookies.
Now, that's a holiday tradition I can get behind. But in all seriousness, I think the key message here is that staying informed about the markets, even during the holidays, can help you make more informed decisions about your financial future.
Okay, so let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back for our final thoughts on what we've learned today and what you, our listeners, should be thinking about as we head into the new year. We're back for our final thoughts here on our Christmas Eve deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground today, and even with the markets closed, it feels like we're right in the heart of the action. You know what I mean?
It's true. It's like the financial world. It never sleeps.
Yeah. And with Pantheon AI, it's like having this, real-time view of the forces shaping the markets.
I agree.
So let's take a minute and discuss some key takeaways for everyone listening. We started off talking about this warning from Steven Jon Kaplan about a potential tech bubble.
Right.
What are some of the red flags that investors should be watching for, especially those who might be, heavily invested in tech?
Well, I think as we talked about, Kaplan is concerned about that really rapid pace of this recent tech rally, and those sky-high valuations.
Yeah.
It's important to remember that markets tend to move in these cycles. And, what goes up must eventually come down.
It's true. So I guess it's not about abandoning tech altogether, right?
Right.
But being more discerning, maybe taking some steps to manage risk.
Exactly. Now, this doesn't mean that you should panic and sell all your tech holdings, okay?
Right.
But it might be a good time to, review your portfolio, assess your risk tolerance, and make sure you're not overly exposed to any one sector.
Diversification is key, as they say. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another takeaway, this increasing interconnectedness of different sectors. We see this with clean energy, companies like FREYR battery using tech to drive innovation. We're even seeing it with crypto, steadily gaining acceptance in mainstream market.
Yeah, it seems like technology is really touching every aspect of the financial world these days.
It really is. And that's where a tool like PantheonAI is so important. It helps you see that big picture, understand all these connections, and ultimately make more informed decisions.
Totally. It's like having your own personal guide to the financial galaxy,
Exactly.
helping you navigate all those stars and avoid the black holes out there.
Avoid the black holes. I like that.
And speaking of navigating those complex landscapes, we got to remember that legal battle between the banks and the Federal Reserve.
Right.
What should our listeners be watching for as this case unfolds?
I think the key question here is how this is going to impact that balance between regulation and innovation in the financial sector.
Yeah.
The outcome of this lawsuit, I think, could have significant implications for how banks are regulated, how much risk they're allowed to take.
And as we talked about, this isn't just about banks, right? It's about the stability of the entire financial system, which of course affects all of us.
Exactly. It's a reminder that even these seemingly technical legal battles, they can have far-reaching consequences.
So true. As we wrap up our Christmas Eve deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. We've explored a lot of, complex issues today, and it can be easy to feel overwhelmed by all the information, all the uncertainty in the world.
Yeah.
But amidst all the noise, there were also incredible opportunities out there.
That's so true. And the key takeaway is that, knowledge is power. The more informed you are, the better equipped you are to make sound decisions, manage risk, and capitalize on those opportunities.
And that's where Pantheon AI comes in, right? It's like your AI co-pilot helping you make sense of it all, cutting through the noise and understanding the trends in this crazy, ever-changing financial world.
Exactly.
So as you enjoy this holiday season, remember that staying informed is truly the best gift you can give yourself.
Couldn't agree more. Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays, and here's to a prosperous and informed new year.